Hi there and welcome. Today we're going to be looking at an interactive whiteboard lesson. This one is about identifying coins. When you first start out, you have just our objectives. We're going to identify coins by name and value, count the coins to find their total value, and find the value of a mixed set of coins with prices. Below that we have our standards. So we have our Common Core Math standard, which is coins. We have our technology standards and our 21st century standards. Up top here we just have some basic information about our lesson, and then we also have some teacher's notes and just some information for teachers if someone else were to try to present this lesson, just what they might need to know. All right, so right here we have our pre-assessment. If you're teaching this with the whole class and you wanted to do the pre-assessment with the entire class, they could either do this on computers while you have this projected up on the screen, or they could use iPads. They could also use a smartphone. If it's just an individual person, then they could also take it as well. They would just kind of have to toggle back and forth between the smartboard lesson, and right here it tells you to go to classlab.com. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to ClassLab so we can see what that looks like. Okay, so right here it says that we are still waiting for it to get started. So let's go back over here and start the activity. All right, so I am already in. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead, and it says up here at the top that there's 12 questions. So you just read the question. For this one, we happen to have a picture here. So what is the value of this coin? I'm just going to quickly go through this. Some of these I'm going to get wrong so that we can kind of see what happens if the student gets it wrong. All right, so it's still now, what is the name of this coin? What is the value of this coin collection? So we've gotten a little bit harder here. All right, and our last one. So now we can double check our answers. Go ahead and hit submit. All right, so now I'm done with this part. So I'm going to go back over to the smartboard lesson. All right, and since we are done, I'm going to go ahead and hit end. All right, so now if I'm just a single student, I can go through and I can see what exactly I got wrong. So I can tell right here that I got this one right. Got that one right again. Okay, so now we come to one that I got wrong. So it shows me that I clicked A, okay, and it's supposed to be D. And so this way the student can see exactly which questions they've gotten wrong. Now, if you're doing this with a whole class, it's going to see how there's a 1 here. That's because I was the only one taking this assessment at the time. If it's the entire class, it's going to tell you how many students got that wrong. So if you're using it as a whole class, it's going to be just a little bit different. All right, so I'm going to quickly go through here and I'm going to look and I'm going to see which ones I got wrong. All right, so now when I'm done with that, I can go ahead and hit this home icon. You'll see this throughout the lesson. Now I go to my home page. I'm going to decide from here what I would like to work on. So I have a little icon here for penny, nickel, dime, quarter, mixed review, songs, games, and writing. All right, so let's start with penny. So we say, what is a penny? So we have the name. Okay, we have the value, 1 cent. It shows me what a penny looks like, heads, tails. I'm going to go ahead and click next. All right, practice counting by ones. I see we have a pull tab here. So here we have a hundreds chart in case a student would like to use this to help them. All right, so here I'm going to need a pen. And then we can go ahead and write right on here. our answers. When we are done, we can go ahead and switch. Okay, and then I can check my answers down here, so it brings me to a screen where I could see if I got this correct. I can then go back and double check my answers. Maybe I got some wrong. I want to redo it. Or I could go back to the home page. So right from here, I'm going to go ahead back to the home page. I can do the same thing for nickel. Again, it tells me the name of this coin, the value, shows me what it looks like for heads and for tails. I can go home from here, or I can go ahead over to the next one. Again, we're practicing counting. These are nickels, so we're counting by fives. We have our number grid here for those students that might need a little extra help. Again, they're going to write in the amount. They can check their answers. Okay, from here they can go back. And if they got some wrong, they could try it again. Or they could go home. So it is the same with the dime. Again, we have the information here, and we have the activity that they can do. All right, so we do that again for quarter, and it's much the same, where they can go through and they can practice. And then we can move on to mixed review. All right, so it says circle all the pennies, mark an X on the nickels. So we can go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and get our pen, and we're going to circle the pennies. Okay, and mark an X on the nickels. When we have completed that activity, we can go back, and then we can check our answers. If we have gotten that right, we might want to go back home. If not, we can go ahead back and change them. Put it in the bank. Okay, so you're going to move the coins to the correct piggy bank. Touch the pig to hear the name. Oh, you know what? It's not picking up my audio from the computer. All right, so we're just going to see how this works. Okay, and it just kind of disappears right into the piggy bank. I'm going to try and put this penny over here, and it bounces right back. So the students get that immediate answer on whether or not this is in fact a dime. Okay, so it goes into the correct place, and it will bounce back if it is not correct. I could go home from here, or I could move on to the next activity. For this activity, there is a black bar here, and it's kind of hiding our information, so it makes it a little more interesting for the kids. Move the coin to the black box to see how much it is worth. So they're going to kind of take a guess here, and then they're going to see, are they in fact correct? Again, I could go back home from here, or I could go on to the next activity. For this one, we're going to erase to reveal how many pennies are equal to the value of the coins. Let's see, I'm going to get my eraser here. All right, so for this one, 1 penny equals 1 penny. Now we're on to the nickel. All right, and they're just going to erase to find out. So this is working on equivalencies. And again, the kids just think that this is really fun because it's interactive and it's different. All right, from here I could go home, or I could go on to the next activity. All right, for this one, we're going to count coins. I have a little pull tab here. Count by fives to count the nickels, then count by ones to count the pennies. All right, use the pen to write the number amounts. Touch the coins to check your answers. So first we're going to use our pen. All right, so I see that this is a dime. I'm going to write 10, 5, another nickel, so we got 5. All right, so now I'm going to change this back. So now when I click on the coin, it moves to show the amount. And I can see right there, oops, I put 10 there. And then I can see, oops, I put 5. Oh, okay, so I was like not even doing this activity correct at all. So now I can see that I was supposed to be counting up as I went. Okay, again, didn't count those coins correct. Okay, so the student then gets immediate feedback on did they do that correct or not. And then I'm going to do the same thing for down here, and then I'm going to write the amounts. I realized that I did that wrong, so this time I'm going to try and make sure that I'm adding on each time. I'm not just labeling the coin, and then I can go through and click and check the value. I have a challenge button down here. Okay, so this does read to you a question. Again, the screencast is not picking up my audio from the computer. So I could go home from here, or I could move on to the next thing. All right, so now we're going to go shopping. These coins down here have the infinite cloner on, so I can drag these over to the palm of this hand. All right, so let's see what this pull tab is. Circle the items, the item or items you want to buy, and then move the coins to the hand. Click the back arrow to reset the page. Okay. So I'm going to decide to buy the eraser here. So I'm going to put 1 cent. I'm going to put 5, 6. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm able to buy that coin. Now we have a challenge. Ask students to use different coins to make up the same amounts. Is there another way you could buy those items using different coins? Again, this could be used whole group or just an individual student, just a challenge for themselves. So now I could think, is there another way that I could group this? And then really the only way is going to be to use pennies. So I could then use pennies. All right, so we're actually going to go back to the home page. All right, from here I can decide, do I want to look at some games, some songs, or some writing? We're going to move on to games. Okay, so for this game, this is a flipping game. So there's something on the front. So all that you see right here is the front of the card. So I'm going to look at this, 5 cents. Oh, okay. And then on the other side, it shows me a picture of a nickel. And then here I have a nickel, and then it shows me underneath that that equals 5 cents. So the student can just kind of go through and look. It is a one-to-one correspondence. It's kind of like a memory match game, or kind of like a old-fashioned using index cards where you're putting a vocabulary word on one side and a definition on the other, and they can just kind of click through as they would like to. All right, and then we have a matching game. We have the coins on this side. Some of them have pictures, some of them have words, and then the values on this side. So we have a dime and a dime. Okay, and so we're just going to kind of match these up. Okay, so they are popping back if they do not match. And so for this one, the student is able to get that immediate feedback. All right, so this game is very similar. We have the coins on this side and the value on this side. They are matching up. So they're going to drag it into the flower. Again, they will pop out if they do not match. All right, so now you can go back to the home page. Songs or writing. We're going to go ahead to the songs. All right, and then they can listen